Let's look at web scraping with ScrapeOps. This is going to show you the code to do a basic requests example to scrape eBay. And if you try and do it without using a proxy, you might run into 400 errors or more likely 500 errors, status code errors. And the first thing you need to do is get this ScrapeOps SDK for Python. This article is on my website, redandgreen.co.uk. So I'm not going to laboriously go through every line of the code. The code is on here. So ScrapeOps, this is the dashboard. Just give you a little preview of this. ScrapeOps, all-in-one proxy solution for web scraping. You can get a free account, and then you can buy upgrades, obviously, to get more tokens. And you can also, so you've got proxy aggregators, residential proxy aggregator, monitoring, server scheduling, stuff on fake agents, fake headers. So it's all here. It's all good. And I've used it, and see, that's the visualization things you get. Tells you your missed items, which is quite handy. So yeah, without further ado, let's look at the code that I've done here, and I'll show you the example of me actually running the code and what I got as the output. That was the output in the dashboard. So the dashboard allows you to just put a couple of extra lines of code in your Python script, which will then it's like middleware. So it'll send data to ScrapeOps, which will be presented in the GUI. Get started with Python and ScrapeOps. You can register for their API for 1,000 tokens, which will get you started, but you might find you use them up quite quickly. And yeah, so I wanted to scrape eBay, and this is with ScrapeOps. You can use this tutorial if you like. You can use their guide as well, which is a bit more comprehensive. How to scrape eBay with requests and beautiful soup. I actually read my example before looking at this, so you've got two different versions. Get your ScrapeOps API key as always. You can set that in. If you just write a one-off script, you can obviously include it in your code. But if you want to see my example, I did just put it into an env. So I put it into .env file. So you get the extractor. This is probably the first thing you want to, if you're unfamiliar with web scraping, or if you're unfamiliar with the eBay site, I just wanted to get something. So I chose the item title, which is, if you can just about make that out, it's the bit that appears next to the thumbnail when you're just looking at the category. So just pick out that text. So s-item_title. I've put a link to my XPath video there. So you can use CSS selectors, or you can use XPath. XPath I've heard described as being like a scalpel compared to CSS being like a knife. XPath is slightly more difficult. It's slightly more. I'll just show you the video. This one here. So I was using that on some German property web scrapers. You see there. Oh, sorry, advert's popping up. But yeah, XPath is. If you do the right click in the developer tools, you get the option of picking out the XPath. The one that developer tools offers you is always horrible. So yeah, to make it anything remotely human friendly, you'll probably need to just do a bit of trial and error just to refine the XPath. But yeah, I've done that tutorial, which you can get to see once the adverts have gone. I've no longer got a YouTube premium account, so I can't skip the adverts, I'm afraid. Pip install ScrapeOps -Python -requests. Pip install beautiful soup. Python ScrapeOps -Python -requests. Just standard pip install. So you don't have to use the exceptions there. So really it's 2 lines. From BS for import beautiful soup, which you should be familiar with if you've done web scraping before with Python. And by the way, you don't have to use Python here. I've actually written an equivalent to this in Rust. And obviously you can use JavaScript and all the other languages. Quite a long from ScrapeOps _ Python _ requests dot scrapers _ requests import ScrapeOps requests. Yeah, the API key. Let me make that a bit bigger. Which is what you get from the ScrapeOps site. If you go to, you'll need to log in because even if you've registered for a free account, you'll need to log in. This is the dashboard. If you go to settings, generate new API key, and so if I generate a new one, this will disable the old API key that you may be using for other projects. Please ensure that this key is updated across all of your projects after generating the new key. So you only get one key, but you can keep updating it and modifying it, or keep regenerating it rather, but you just have that one. Not like ChatGPT, for instance, where you can have different keys per project. ScrapeOps logger, that's just the variable name. So ScrapeOps requests, then I'm passing in the API key, the spider name, the job name. So all this here is to make the dashboard work. I don't know if they used it in the example. Yeah, there we go. Logging.getLogger. Oh, it just did import logging. Okay. This works anyway. So adding this to your code will then allow you to view the dashboard with the bar charts and the red and the green icons to say whether your scraper worked or not. Requests equals ScrapeOps. So once you use the wrapper, you're using a variable called requests, but it's actually ScrapeOps version of requests because it's got the wrapper around it. And what that's basically doing is sending your request via their proxies. There we go. That's where you specify their proxy. So request.get, and then that's the URL. So you're not scraping eBay directly. You're going via ScrapeOps. I was experimenting. I left render _JS turned on. I left that in there. I don't know if you need that or not, but one of the good features of using a proxy is this ability to render JavaScript, because often you may hit a stumbling block where you need to get some JavaScript, actually dynamic JavaScript rendered. Yeah, particularly with sort of sports betting sites, anything that's got real-time information, you might find this really useful. So there we go. If response status code equals 200, then beautiful soup response.content, and then I'm just using HTML parser rather than LXML or anything like that. Titles equals soup.findAll, so it's finding all the H3s with the class s-item _ title. And yeah, and then if not in titles, then it finishes. For title and titles, then it's doing get the text, strip equals true. Then with file.write, we're writing it to a text file. ScrapeOps .logger.item. Let's just log in the title text. And I'll show you, this just deals with the URL down here. So failed to scrape, let's just do error message, and then if you get an exception, it handles that because we used requests.exceptions up at the top. Don't have to use that. So the base URL, I got that from just from visiting eBay and just clicking on one of the categories. Yeah, and that's the name of the text file that I might put in the text too. So this is small kitchen appliances, I believe. And obviously you've got pagination if you've got more than, I think it's 20 results. So to handle that, you just need to kind of build up a base URL, which is ebay.co.uk/bn, that BN number. And then concatenate the $_PGN equals, and then the page number set is 1 to start with here. And then while true, keep increasing it by 1 after each iteration. Or sorry, keep increasing it by 1 and then try it. And eventually you keep adding 1 and try it. Eventually it won't work and then you'll break because it won't scrape and extract. Scrape and extract titles, which is the function name. That will return false, and when it returns false, this will break. It'll break out of the loop. So this was it in action. And this is real time, by the way. So it's I don't think the time. Hopefully, you'll agree the speed is not really the important thing here. It's quick anyway. But for me, the impressive thing was that it's so robust. It never has any missing results. It doesn't stall. It doesn't have to do any retries. It just works. So I think that's more important than any sort of anything else really. So it took about 2 minutes 24 to scrape approximately 5,000 lines. Is it 5,000 or 2,000? Don't quote me on that. I can't remember now. But yeah, it took about 2 minutes to get thousands of results. So, and not, as I say, not a single retry. And how long did it take me to learn to do that, to use this? I'd say probably within an hour. I was a bit rusty on using Beautiful Soup anyway, so I just decided to do soup.findAll. Obviously, when you write a scraper, you're going to need probably more than just one field, so you'll spend a bit of time working out these CSS extractors. But if you do want to just use the ScrapeOps version, it's all here, and they'll have the extractors here for you somewhere. They're putting it. They've got keyword there, look, because I was just scraping category. Yeah. Yeah, and there you go. There's your extractors. So div class s-item _title. So that's the one that I'm scraping. They're also getting the card, the ahref, and they're getting the item price. So there's another extractor ready for you. Because eBay's so sort of global and established, these shouldn't change really. And then they're just building pets and key value pairs here. Look, name, URL, price, buy it now. Is auction, end. So if you get back to this, I'll just fast forward this. You can watch this video on my website, Red and Green. So this is quite nice. So you've got this output, so it's telling you kind of the speed. It's averaged. This is obviously specific to scrape.ops. You can see all these 200 results. You can see there was a 401. I think further down it should just I think the 36 pages it scrapes overall stats. So if you don't want to use the GUI and add kind of the extra code to send it to the monitoring dashboard, or if you don't want to go and use that, if you say, for instance, you were running this on a remote server, and yeah, you could just view the stats here. Job run time. So again, I think the fact that is the robustness of this is more important than the outright speed. It worked. It worked 100%. No, say 100% coverage. No errors, no error events, no warning events. Oh, missed pages one. I don't know what that was. It didn't. 100% coverage, 2,100 items. It did that in about 2 minutes, but as I say, I'm sure if you could probably fine tune it in as well. But yeah, so here's the breakdown of the code. It's all on here, redandgreen.co.uk, web scraping, how to web scrape. You come to my site, you'll find it. Go to red and green, and it's in the moment it's the second or third most recent article. But yeah, if you go to Python code and just go scroll down and web scraping web scraping with Python and ScrapeOps. Just a little note on using the env. So you'd install python-env pip install. And yeah, that's the link. It will take you to ScrapeOps. Monitoring. So there's 3 products. You got the monitoring, you got the server manager and scheduler, and you've got proxy aggregator. So really, the proxy aggregator is probably the bit you'll need to get your hands dirty with first. Python, Node.js, PHP, Java, Golang, Go, Ruby, CTR. I've actually written one in Rust as well. So I'm guessing you've got the SDK available for these examples. Yeah, SDK. But obviously, you could write your own. You could write your own code without needing the SDK, which is what I did with Rust. There's more advanced examples in here using Scrapey and using middleware and fake agents as well. So it's all here. It's all good. And yeah, no, I recommend it. And to be honest, if you think about the time, if you're trying to save money or you don't want to spend any money, I wrote a rotating proxy runs on a Raspberry Pi and just disconnected from my VPN and then reconnected to a different one every 5 seconds. And that was really slow, and it took me the time it took me. I could have been doing something else. So sometimes it's better to go for a paid service, and I think there's a version which is I believe it's $9 or $8.99 a month for proxy comparison. You've got a price comparison here, yeah, $8, $4, $9, 1,000 requests. You see, most of the competitors are dearer. And the cheap one that's $4.90 for first month on a $600 per month plan. So this is probably one of the cheaper ones, and it just works. So you see, for $9 a month, you can get 25,000 requests, JS rendering, country geo-targeting, band detection, proxy rotation, residential APIs. So this just works. So I think it's well worth a try. And what's not to like? You got a free trial, 1,000 free requests. And yeah, if you've got any questions, drop me a line in the comments. And if you want to watch the XPath selectors tutorial, I'll put a link to that in the video description. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.